Everyone who visits India for the first time comes back surprised. Not surprised in the general sense that travel produces surprises, but surprised in a specific, patterned way that repeats itself across millions of visitors from dozens of countries with enough consistency that the surprises have become almost predictable, which is itself one of the more interesting things about them. Since the information that would prevent the surprise is freely available and somehow fails to prepare anyone adequately. This is not about the obvious things. The heat, the crowds, the chaos, the complexity of the food, the scale of the poverty alongside the scale of the wealth. All of this is documented and discussed and widely known before anyone arrives. The surprises that matter are the ones that happen after you thought you'd prepared for the surprises. Start with the one that catches the most people off guard, because it's the most counterintuitive given everything written about India's overwhelming intensity. India is extraordinarily, unexpectedly kind. Not in the generic sense that people in most countries are decent if you treat them well. In the specific, active, sometimes inconvenient sense that strangers will go significantly out of their way to help you with a directness that reads, at first, as intrusive, and that reveals itself as genuine. The man who approaches you at the train station when you're consulting your phone isn't starting a transaction. He's checking whether you're lost. The family who invites you to sit with them at their table in a Dai Wabu isn't running a scam. They want to know where you're from. The person who walks you 12 minutes out of their way to the address you asked about and then refuses anything you offer for the trouble. This happens in India with a frequency that surprises everyone who arrived expecting to be on guard. The kindness isn't naive, and it isn't universal. India also has touts and scammers and people who will take advantage of disorientation, and the standard urban awareness applies. But the baseline behavior of ordinary Indians toward confused foreign visitors is substantially warmer and more practically helpful than most visitors expected, and the gap between the defensive posture they arrived with and the openness that the country actually rewards is one of the first and most important recalibrations the trip requires. The second surprise runs in the opposite direction and is harder to name without misrepresenting it. India is more middle class than the international image suggests, and the middle class is more aspirational, more educated, and more globally connected than most Western visitors have reason to expect. The India of documentaries and development reports is the India of the bottom of the economic pyramid, which is real and large and should not be minimized. But the India of daily life for hundreds of millions of people is the India of engineering colleges and call centers and startup culture and young professionals who have strong opinions about cricket and cinema and politics and who are navigating their own negotiations between tradition and modernity with a sophistication that has nothing to do with any version of India that features prominently in the Western imagination. Having a genuine conversation with an educated Indian in their 30s or 40s about their career, their family expectations, their relationship to their religion, their views on their country's direction, produces an encounter with a civilization that is actively thinking about itself at every level, that has a genuine intellectual tradition of argument and debate and self-examination, and that doesn't require or particularly want the sympathy or the analysis that Western visitors sometimes arrive prepared to offer. The surprise is the quality of the conversation, the sense that you're talking to someone navigating complexity of a different kind than yours, but of comparable weight, and that their navigation is as interesting to observe as any landscape in the country. The third surprise is about cities, and it's the one that most specifically inverts expectations. Indian cities are not monoliths of chaos. They're collections of neighborhoods, each with its own character, its own pace, its own relationship to the city around it, and its own version of the ordinary life that the tourist circuit consistently bypasses. Bangalore, officially Bengaluru, is the India that the technology sector built, a city of young professionals and international company offices, and a cafe culture that would be unremarkable in Berlin or Austin but is somehow unexpected when it's in a city of 12 million people in South India. Kolkata is the India of literature and art and a Bengali intellectual tradition that produced 3 Nobel laureates and a cinema history as significant as any in Asia, operating in a city of faded imperial grandeur that is specifically unlike anything in North or West India. Jaipur, whose pink city reputation tends to reduce it to a postcard of Rajasthani architecture, is also a city with a thriving contemporary art scene, a design culture, and a gemstone industry that makes it one of the most significant jewelry manufacturing centers in the world. These cities are not hidden. They're just not what arrives in the frame when India is the subject of the picture, and arriving in any of them with the expectation of a single Indian urban experience is the setup for a specific and pleasurable surprise. The fourth unexpected thing is a question of scale that the photographs consistently fail to convey, and it goes in both directions simultaneously. India's famous monuments are larger than you think. The Gateway of India in Mumbai, which appears in every Mumbai photograph and which you've therefore seen at every scale, is 26 meters tall, large enough that you understand, standing at its base for the first time, why it was built as a ceremonial entrance for the British imperial fleet rather than as a decorative arch. The temples of Tamil Nadu, whose Gopuram towers appear on every list of South Indian architecture, can reach over 60 meters and contain sculptural programs of thousands of figures that take days to fully examine. Hampi, the ruined capital of the Vijayanagara Empire in Karnataka, covers an area of over 26 square kilometers and contains temples and markets and elephant stables and royal enclosures spread across a landscape of boulder-strewn hills that makes the ruins feel genuinely vast rather than neatly bounded. The Ajanta Caves, the Buddhist rock-cut complex in Maharashtra carved over 7 centuries starting in the 2nd century BC, have interiors whose ceilings are painted with scenes of such density and sophistication that the paintings are still being fully documented. And then the other direction. The things famous enough that you imagine them as large that turn out to be human in scale, intimate in a way the image doesn't suggest. The Ghats of Varanasi are not the Grand Canyon. They're a series of steps and platforms running along the river's edge in a city of 1 million people, and the intimacy of the cremation fires alongside the intimacy of the bathing pilgrims alongside the intimacy of the boats on the water at dawn. The scale that makes Varanasi affecting is not monumental. It's the opposite. The fifth surprise is about color, and it sounds trivial but isn't. India is more colorful than any image of it because images reduce color to its most photogenic expressions and leave out the quotidian saturation that makes the country look the way it looks at street level on an ordinary Tuesday morning. The saris are not just worn at festivals. They're worn to work, to the market, on motorcycles and traffic, at the train station at 6 in the morning, by women of every age, in every class, in every region, in combinations of color that operate outside the rules of color coordination that govern most other clothing cultures. The trucks are painted, the temples are painted, the rickshaws are painted, the walls are painted. The flower garlands for temple offerings are made fresh daily in colors that exist at a saturation level that looks artificial until you understand that it's just marigolds and jasmine in the right light. The first hour at street level in any Indian city produces a visual density that the camera immediately begins trying to reduce to its most dramatic elements, which is the wrong instinct. The correct instinct is to stop photographing and start looking because the experience of Indian color is cumulative and ambient rather than punctual, and what the camera selects from it is always less than what the eye receives when it stops selecting. The sixth surprise is the food, but not in the direction most people expect the surprise. Most visitors to India arrive knowing that the food will be good and leave having understood that good was an inadequate category for what they encountered. The specific surprise is not that Indian food is delicious. That's expected. It's that Indian food is so regionally specific that the discoveries never run out. A traveler who ate their way through Rajasthan will find that the food of Kerala has essentially nothing in common with what they ate. Different grains, different fats, different spice profiles, different preparations, different relationship between sweet and sour and heat. The thali that defines the meal structure across much of the country is different in each region in ways that go beyond local ingredients to something closer to distinct culinary philosophies. And the street food. The chaat in Delhi, the Vada Pav in Mumbai, the dosa in Chennai, the fuchka in Kolkata, is both hyperlocal and globally extraordinary in a way that the world's best food cities haven't fully recognized, probably because the best versions of these things resist translation outside their original context. The surprise is the inexhaustibility of it, The sense that a month of serious eating has barely opened the subject, that the cuisine is not a list of famous dishes, but a living tradition distributed across a continent-sized country and still producing new things at every level of the economic spectrum simultaneously. The seventh thing tourists don't expect is the silence. Not literal silence. India is not a quiet country in any acoustic sense, but the silence available inside temples, in the early morning before the city starts, at the ghats in the hour before sunrise, in the gardens and courtyards that exist inside the walls of many historic buildings and that the street outside gives no indication of containing. This silence is specific and available and completely unanticipated by visitors who arrived expecting continuous stimulation. The Lodhi Garden in Delhi, a public park containing the tombs of 15th-century sultans, is 24 kilometers from the airport and receives relatively few foreign visitors and is full of people doing morning yoga and walking and sitting under the enormous trees in the quiet of 8 in the morning in a way that has nothing to do with the India of the tourist circuit and everything to do with what a city of 20 million people does with its mornings. The courtyard of the Humayun's tomb complex in mid-afternoon, when the tour groups have thinned, has a quality of stillness that produces, in the right visitor at the right moment, something close to the feeling that architecture is specifically designed to produce but rarely delivers at this scale. The sense that the space was built for exactly this experience, and that you're having it. India surprises almost everyone who goes, and it surprises them in patterns that are consistent enough to suggest the surprises are about the visitor's mental models as much as about the country. The image of India that circulates internationally, the chaos, the color, the spirituality, the poverty, the food is accurate and incomplete in equal measure, and what arrives on the other side of the image, in direct experience, is a civilization of a complexity and a warmth and a quotidian beauty that the image reaches for without quite touching. The tourists who come back most transformed are the ones who let the surprises reorganize their framework rather than confirming the one they arrived with. The country is too large and too various to be contained by any prior model. The model that works after a few days is no model at all, just attention, directed at whatever is directly in front of you, in a country that rewards attention more consistently and more generously than almost anywhere else on Earth. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, smash that like button and subscribe to When to Travel. We're all about helping you make smarter travel decisions. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And hey, if you think your friends need this, share it. Comment below with your next destination or your biggest travel question. I'm reading all of them. Let's go.